Unveiling Our Past, the struggle for LGBT plus rights in Ireland, is a new history teaching resource for 5th and 6th class. One of the most frequent criticisms of how history has been taught hitherto has been its silencing of the voices and narratives of minority and minoritised communities, presenting instead a simplified and single narrative about the past. Good history teaching, on the other hand, is about enabling children to understand the past as complex, and to be open to the multiple narratives and perspectives that together contribute to our historical understanding. The resource is developed around core practices that promote the development of children's historical understanding. It is inquiry-based, enabling children to ask questions about the past, to analyse and interpret historical sources, and to construct their understanding based on the evidence. Importantly, the focus on pride and on key actors in the struggle for LGBT plus rights will support children to understand the idea of historical agency, to know that people can and did take action against injustice and discrimination, despite the obstacles and challenges, and in many cases, high personal cost. In addition, developing the skills and concepts of time and chronology will enable children to integrate key events into their historical framework, making their big picture history richer, more complex, and closer to recognising the diverse histories that have contributed to creating contemporary Ireland. The resource is grounded in the curriculum, fulfilling the objectives under the strand Politics, Conflict and Society, under the strand unit Ireland, Europe and the World, 1960 to the present. This asks that children are enabled to engage in simple studies of some of the more important aspects of periods in which political changes or movements have had important influence on the lives of people in Ireland. It asks them to acquire some knowledge of the major personalities, events or developments in these periods, to explore, discuss, compare and develop some simple understandings of the attitudes, beliefs, motivations and actions of differing individuals and groups of people in the past, to begin to develop some appreciation of the mindset of former generations, to acquire insights into the attitudes and actions of people in contemporary Ireland, and to develop a growing sense of personal, national, European and wider identities. This accessible resource allows teachers to meet these objectives in a way that focuses on active learning, using primary sources, guided discussion, and also through the development of critical thinking and key reading comprehension skills. The resource begins with a focus on time and chronology. The pupils are given a selection of events related to LGBT plus rights in Ireland and asked to work together to try to establish the most likely sequence for these. At this stage, the pupils also reflect upon what they already know about the struggle for LGBT plus rights in Ireland and what questions they would like to explore. Lesson 2 focuses on the Pride movement, its origins in the United States and the events leading to the first major demonstration in Dublin. Lesson 3 invites the pupils to examine pieces of evidence from the Cork LGBT archive and through jigsaw grouping interpret these resources to develop their understanding of what life was like in Ireland in the 1980s and 1990s and how it might have felt to be an LGBT plus person at the time. Lessons 4, 5 and 6 introduce the pupils to some key figures who played significant roles in the advancement of LGBT plus rights in Ireland: David Norris, Dr. Lydia Foy, and Catherine Zappone and Anne-Louise Gilligan. These 3 lessons also develop key reading comprehension strategies, with these being included in grey bubbles throughout. The final 2 lessons allow the pupils to synthesise all the information they have learned throughout the module into a project that showcases their learning and can be used to communicate it to others. Pupils are encouraged to choose whatever format they feel will best suit their skills and interests, but are given the criteria for success to ensure that the historical skills remain to the fore. With all the challenges facing us in the world today, it is easy to be pessimistic. However, it is at such a time that we need to recognise and recommit to education as a transformative and hopeful process, one that seeks to change the world and create newly imagined futures, rather than simply reproduce old patterns. This excellent resource makes a timely contribution towards that process. It will be available on the INTO LGBT plus Teachers Group webpage at www.into.ie/LGBT under Educational Resources.